Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. Let's set up everything and wait for this one. Hi, everyone. This is Arnaud Giuliani, project lead maintainer for Koin and creator of the Koin Project and the co-founder of Codzilla. Today, this is a Codzilla webinar. Let's go then and wait perhaps a small minute to let people get entrance. And today we will talk about migrating application from Dagger 2, Dagger Hilt to Koin, and also in the way and the target to migrate for KMP project. And we will start gently, and then people will join. I can start beginning with the first slide of our session. Then today I will talk about all the strategy to try to migrate to really be successful in your migration project. It's a YouTube live project, then not project, but it's a YouTube live session. Then put your question in the chat, and then we will see if there's question around. Then feel free to push your question there. All around, and then at the end we will take your questions and then I will answer that. Codzilla is the company created for Koin. I created this company, co-founded this company to help support Koin, and then we are the official enterprise that is behind all the open source project. At Codzilla also we joined the Kotlin Foundation. We are part of all the companies that are helping JetBrains and Google shape a better future for the Kotlin language. Let's talk about Koin quickly and briefly. This is a well-established project because it's been created in 2017 and then is really helping lots of people on that. And that's great. Koin is a dependency injection framework purely made in Kotlin. And it is based on Kotlin DSL, or you can use annotation to describe everything you want inside this kind of application. Koin is not making any core generation. It's a light container, and then it's going super fast because everything is optimized in terms of indexing. And you have a pragmatic API to retrieve your object instance inside your application. Pragmatic API means really something simple to really catch every kind of experience for you. It's super easy to learn and understand. That's been made for that. For this, you can just open a configuration and anyone can really understand and write quickly the configuration. And Koin is covering all the Kotlin ecosystem from Android to KMP, Compose, Ktor, and any kind of other linked Kotlin project. Also, be sure that Koin is able to help you to scale from small to really big apps. And for this, a few of big Koin users that are really taking and using Koin at scale with hundreds of modules, and then are really here as a big mobile player here. Then you can recognize banking application, pure video platform application, transport application. Really lots of people that are using Koin in their application. This is perhaps the first question we should ask before migrating here, is really why migrate? And then if you want to migrate, the first point will be about something that is disappointing you in your current project. Is about configuration. It's hard to maintain. You usually copy paste anything without really knowing really what you want to do, or it's really constraining. Compilation time is really drawing around, and that's really hard. Your project is hard to maintain, and you want to go to something else. The other point is that the need for you to migrate to KMP, or even better, Compose multi-platform project, full Compose multi-platform project. One point to have here in mind is that the Dagger project won't give any support for a KMP project for a while, This is an extract from their GitHub with the GitHub issues where they are pointing the fact that on their roadmap they are not really looking at KMP support for right now. Then Koin is one of the solutions that you can use to help you in the KMP project. Also, if you don't have any of these pain, then I would say, but that's fine. You can stick with what you have and no worry about migrating to Koin. But else, let's follow up. To have your migration ready, I will give you some points to prepare and then also for you to deliver in terms of for your product, for feature and stability. Because finally, migrating your DI is really a big risk. It's like migrating from Rx Java to coroutines. Is really a transverse technology that is everywhere in your application and is holding everything. DI framework is usually the backbone of your application, then it's holding on your structure. To absorb the risk, really what I advise is that we need to go in an incremental approach. I would really discourage to go in a big bang approach, apart of if you have really the time and the money, but then usually in your business work, then you don't have time to say, hey, hold on, we just need a few weeks or months to try to rework everything as we want. You don't have time. Then the idea is really to use incremental approach and finally migrate step by step all your application to Koin and then unlock everything one by one. The other point is that you will touch base completely your architecture quality, because then you will see that finally lots of things are coupling or not, and then it will be hard to migrate things that are super tightly coupling. And if you have a big bang approach, then it will be even harder to do that. If you have something that is more incremental, then you will be able to replace each piece of your application even little by little, and then you will move forward in a little but stable steps, and then don't put your business in danger. And this is the main topic here, is bridging step by step and have the right way to do that. To prepare your migration, what you need to do is really think about where you will start. And you can think about isolated modules or feature, but think about something that is quite low in terms of impact for your business, because you don't want to start by something that is quite critical. Then the major advice is start small on something that is really located and then ramp up in terms of migration. And then for you, take in balance in between the Koin feature you want to inject to use and the value you want to deliver, and then the impact on your business. Then up to you then to choose where you want to go and then what kind of pieces you want to elect. For multi-platform side, at the end, finally, Koin is really purely Kotlin technology. Then finally, you will put your Koin modules inside your Kotlin command code, and then you will reuse it naturally as it was code for Android, but then it's command Kotlin code that will go on iOS, on desktop, or any kind of other platform. Then a part of that, there will be perhaps some part of your module that will need some native integration and then native APIs. You can do that. That means that part of your modules will use the actual expect mechanism for Kotlin multi-platform. We will see that. And also be sure that you choose the right Kotlin libraries that are already KMP ready. Let's take a bit of overview for your architecture. Then it's kind of the big picture that everyone has in mind in terms of mobile architecture, from the bottom layers where you have data persistence, services, repository, to upper layers where you have business layers like use case interactor, other kind of service, and then finally coming up to your presentation level like presenter, view model, or any kind of abstraction of presentation of your UI. In Koin, finally, you mostly, and in most of the case, you define this with the keyword you see here, like single for singleton, factory for factory instance. That means that Koin won't hold that in memory, instead of contrary to singleton, where Koin is keeping singletons for you. And then factory, and especially ViewModel that is wired on lifecycle of your UI. And in some cases, at the UI side, you will need some API, like a ViewModel that you call in your compose function that will retrieve your instance. Let's talk about migration strategy. The best things to start, and of course, you need to make not really a super great audit, but you need to know your app in terms of component features, because then you will ramp up and then you want to localize where are the good stuff and where you want to start, where it is tricky to go. After that, I would say, and I would advise to understand your business data and if there is any case of particular lifecycle. Is there any wallet, if there's any kind of long-living object or kind of, and other kind of scopes or space you can have in mind, or you can have some business rule that you can have here that can be used later. Then identify all those elements, because this is a critical element that you want to identify in terms of roadmap for you. After that, then go step by step. Choose the right granularity in terms of component, module, feature level, and there you need to ensure constant stability for your delivery, for your team, for your company. Then you introduce a new technology, especially for DI, then be sure that you ensure this constant stability, and then you can continue to deliver and keep the speed of delivery. And then finally, I would say this is for you and your team is really track your progress and ensure that you have the control over your migration, because then if you ensure and you keep progressing on stability and delivery speed, then all your team and company will be okay with your migration, and then you master everything. And the good thing is that with step-by-step migration, something that is always stable, then you won't be in danger, and then you will keep mostly your delivery speed. Then keep an eye on the big milestone that you have in mind on your application to finally really take care about them, but then you can have a step-by-step very constant the delivery speed. Let's go more in detail, because I will show you on real case how we can do that in between Dagger to Koin, how you can really make things together. And the main things for that is that you start by installing Koin inside your application that is using Dagger. You are free to use Koin and install the right Gradle package inside your application, and that's fine. If you need, on insertkoin.io, this is the project website, then you can go on the setup side and check where you can start. For example, in Android, you need to use start coin function. In terms of package, you can choose in between several ones that can help you, and then perhaps choose the right features depending on the right module you are migrating. For example, Koin Core is the pure Kotlin DI features, then you don't have Android features inside. It can be interesting if you are migrating pure Kotlin features like business one, like use case, etc. Koin Android is the main Android package that you can use for your Android application, and this is where you have most of all the features you will use for Android. Koin Android X Compose is also the one of the most used package, because this is the one that is really implementing Jetpack Compose APIs. And this package is based on Koin Compose, the new Compose API that is fully multi-platform, and then is plugged on the Jetpack Compose stuff. Then up to you to choose the right stuff in between Koin Core, Koin Android, Koin Android X Compose that is Jetpack Compose API, and Koin Compose that offer Jetpack Compose API plus the multi-platform API. One of the points here, and I won't really have any really favor here, is up to you to choose the right stuff in terms of DSL or annotation. It's your workflow, it's your flavor, your way to work. I would say like Koin DSL offer a way to have a DSL, then something that is describing your structure outside of your project. And then it's clearly outside of the project, and then you can really check what's inside, and then it's completely outside of the current annotation of your project. Then That is an interesting case for that. Is that Koin DSL is really isolated, and then you have only your configuration in one file or several files, but everything is really isolated, and you can work on that. Koin annotation is really more close to what people knows about Dagger. It's really annotation oriented, and then you can fit with what you already do usually in your application. The other point is that in terms of annotation, went too fast. In terms of annotation, then you can really try to mix in between. I would avoid that, to mix Dagger annotations and Koin annotation on the same entity. I would really advise to separate things completely. Now that you know the package a bit, I would say you need to understand in terms of DI, finally, this is about your object, how you host and create your object. You have just a few ways to create your stuff. You have singleton, a unique object for your application. It stays there forever. The factory that is creating one instance once. ViewModel that finally are kind of factory that is a hold for your UI cycle, and then scopes that tries to open your time and keep your object for a longer time than the UI. For that also, Koin is addressing also Android scope, especially on activity, fragment, and compose. I would say that in terms of design, Dagger really is really opinionating in terms of scopes and force you regularly to use scopes where perhaps you don't need it. Then if you just have one object that is tied to, for example, one activity, you can just use a factory object and it will be held until this activity is destroyed then. Let's go about magic concept because finally you will have something in one. You want to replace one object from Dagger to something in Koin, and then you have to keep in mind this mapping in between Dagger to Koin and vice versa. In DSL, for example, if you have something tagged in a Hilt with or Dagger with @singleton, you will declare something in Koin with single. If you have something tagged with Hilt ViewModel, you will use ViewModel keyword in the DSL. And if you are using binds or provide, then this is usually something that is not held as a singleton, then this is factory instance. Then you see you have three main cases of instance classes, then you should be able to translate directly in the DSL approach. On the other point, then annotations, you have singleton that is bind to single. There is also an alias for singleton, but mainly it keeps the semantic of Koin, and singleton binds to single, Hilt ViewModel to Koin ViewModel, and binds and provide you can just tag with @factory. In annotation process, the good approach of that also is that Koin annotation doesn't ask you to tag in many space. You just tag the class, the top of your class, not necessarily the constructor, and it will detect all your constructor and bond types and then generate the right configuration for you on top. And finally, in terms of lifecycle for the scopes, if you have modules that are tied to activity component, then you will have activity. You can use by activity scope inside activity to inject your activity instance with that. And fragment component will be tied to something called by fragment scope. Then you will find the same mechanism and the same life cycle for your objects. From where to start? Then here, as I begin to say, you need to find the right granularity, but then if you think back about your layers, and you can go in the way you want. There is no, I would say, with the step-by-step approach, you are not blocked in a way to migrate. You can go top to bottom, for example, begin to convert ViewModel and then use the underlying layers in Hilt, or go to bottom to top, begin to migrate like your data layers, and then bridge with the current application in Hilt to be reused. And up to you to find finally what is interesting to start and where are the good cases to start. Other point perhaps for you is really targeting perhaps isolated screen or features where you are free and the impact is very low. but you are free really to use and begin to write things. The good thing is that with the step-by-step migration that we will go here in details, you will be able to reuse the existing Hilt application with your Koin application. Then from layers approach, up to you. And this is a major logic way, and then top to bottom, from the view model or the abstraction layer to the data source layer, up to you really to choose really what is interesting. Let's go in detail in the main mechanism that I would like really to show today about bridging worlds. Then let's go with something that we want to migrate to in Koin and then still need to talk to Hilt components. And for this, and you will find in the resources at the end, I will give links. I've migrated now in Android the Google application made with Dagger, Hilt, and the last blueprints on Compose. Then I migrated this application as a Koin. I migrated from Hilt to Koin, and everything in the GitHub source is available step by step. Then you can even follow that to see how finally I migrated step by step. In this case here, we are starting from a main activity that is tagged Android entry point. You see @inject on many fields, and is using by ViewModels. The by ViewModels is the Android API that will hook on the Hilt ViewModel API. And behind the scene, we have our main activity ViewModel we want to retrieve here is tagged with @ViewModel, and then you see that there is a tag with @inject on the constructor. We want to migrate that, push that ViewModel in Koin, and then we will bridge with the rest. That means that we just migrate one thing, and the application is still running. We will bridge, and you see that this main activity ViewModel is using one dependency, it's user data repository. We don't want to migrate everything at once. What we want to do is just migrate the ViewModel and use the repository from Hilt. For that, we remove the annotations. We clean the class from any kind of Hilt annotation on the activity ViewModel, the main activity ViewModel. That's fine. And we begin to write a module, but here it's called junkstat Koin module because this is the module you have now in Android. And you can type ViewModel off. This is the keyword ViewModel and ViewModel off are the same meaning, but ViewModel off is asking double semicolon character and then your class. And this is targeting directly the constructor of your class, and then Koin, we will fill all the dependency for that. Then your ViewModel is declared here, and there is no more annotations. The ViewModel is inside Koin declared as a module, and then we can start Koin directly in the main application beside of Hilt startups also. And on the other side, when we want to bridge and bring user data repository to Koin, this is the way to go. You need to create an interface called Dagger Bridge, for example, something easy to find. You need to tag it entry point, and you need to, for example, install it in singleton component. And then we will use this entry point with a special function here, Dagger Bridge, that will point to our interface and reuse the get user repository. And that's it. You see, through this function, you will be able to use a bridge directly from Koin to Hilt directly. And I will show you, of course, the detail. But then you see I'm using single of lambda expression of what I would like. And then here I'm calling Dagger Bridge of my entry point for get user data repository. More detail about this Dagger Bridge stuff. Then my ViewModel is in the module, and then I need a link to Hilt entry point, and then this is how it's done. We will surely publish things about that in the next days. But here is it how it's working. You need this is the detail about the functions that is hook up on Koin, and then retrieve from entry point the type class that you want, that is an entry point, and then we can call get repository on that. You see that finally it became super easy to just take one piece, then check all the dependency and push them in a bridging interface module that will keep up all your dependency. And then you're done. Your application is running. You just migrate the view model, and then you're still using your Hilt application. And finally, we are quite happy. We can use by ViewModel, the original Koin API here, by ViewModel, no S. The S is for the Google API, but by ViewModel is the Koin API that lets you retrieve your ViewModel instance, and it's finding the right instance and hooking on Hilt for the things that we have not migrated. Cool. On the other way, for example, if you begin to the problem, if, for example, you have components in the middle of your application, you want to migrate because some of the next components in Koin will have to use that, then you are in middle of some choice, then you need a component in Koin that will be used by Hilt. For that, for example, something that can be tricky to migrate, but is really easy to migrate finally with this step-by-step approach is, for example, the dispatcher module in Normin Android, where we are describing dispatcher.io, dispatcher.default, where it's providing the right instance of Kotlin dispatcher for the application. On the other point, we have another module, Kotlin scope module, where you have definitions to create a Kotlin scope for the rest of the project. Then the challenging point for that is that we could replace those two modules with definitions in Koin, and then we need Hilt application to continue to have the right access to the right instance. And for that, we have the module of Koin that are described here. You see the first one that is describing dispatcher, and the second one, Kotlin scope Koin module, that is including the first one, and then is creating a Kotlin scope directly with the expression Kotlin scope supervisor job, and again Kotlin dispatcher that we want. Then we replace those two big modules with a few lines here, and then the problem is that we need to fill the rest of the application with this current instance. And for that, finally, the Kotlin dispatcher can be are filled out, and we target here the Kotlin scope modules. We keep the old Hilt module, but then we modify the way it's creating the instance. It's not creating directly a scope. And you see that I removed completely the dependency to the Kotlin dispatcher. It's directly using Koin to retrieve the instance. You see that we are using a module that is using the interface Koin component, and this interface Koin component is unlocking get Koin and get. And finally, the good side is that on an object interface or abstract any kind of object that you can use directly Koin component interface, you can use getCoin.get and then retrieve anything you need from Koin. Then you can fill up from Koin or you can fill up from Hilt, depending the way you are establishing your migration. You will be able to play in the way you want. Either use Dagger bridge, either use Koin component, anywhere you need to bootstrap your Koin instance. Other point is more tied to Dagger 2. You may need to use a kind of app component approach. Usually in Dagger 2, you have something like a big main app component tree where you are building that manually. Then in your dependency, you will have something a bit like that. Then you will have to create single off and then get Android context, application context, and then use the app content injection. But then you have access to your app content. You have access to the current instance, and then you can bridge that to the Koin application. The same definitions are in Koin, and we call to Dagger app component. Finally, in all of this, you see that we can move from one technology to the other, and then we can really bridge in between, really let both technology talk and the way you want, at the speed you want, and you can even continue to keep safe. You won't have, the good thing of that is that, and the big problem of migrating from Dagger Hilt or Dagger is that it's compile time safety. You don't choose to unlock or to activate this compile time safety. And the problem is that in between you are moving things and you usually make the experience. When you are trying configuration, you are moving things, it's breaking your compilation every time. Then I would say that at the end, this compilation safety is getting really less efficient in terms of productivity for the developer, because it blocks you in terms of dependency. The way to go is to couple Koin verification API and compilation safety. And why? Because finally, Koin works and Dagger works, the compilation safety. And then you see how Koin is super easy to verify configuration. You just take one module, your main module, and you call verify, or is here Android verify, and it's checking all your configuration and be sure you don't forget anything. And then if your Koin configuration is working and your and Dagger is compiling, then you're quite safe, and then you can move on very quickly, because then if your project is running your test JUnit test here, your project is working. And then also Koin annotation as compiled safety onboarding, you can unlock or activate it on BAT, and then both can bring you compiled safety, and then you are bridging in 2 words, and then you can be sure that your configuration is working. Once you reach that and you are in the good shape of getting out of your initial DI, then you want to choose what will be part of Kotlin multi-platform and how you can migrate to that. For the shared part of your project, then in terms of architecture, it depends, on KMP or CMP can cover most of everything in every layer, like all those data layers, repository layers, until business case layers usually are not tied to any kind of technology among, or are tied to KMP HTTP. You can find KMP HTTP libraries for client, for the HTTP client, for data, for database, etc. Then usually 80% of your architecture is movable to KMP, and then Koin is naturally fitting that, because then your model doesn't change. Your object finally comes into your Kotlin KMP project. I would say that the KMP limit goes at UI level, where in Android it's quite natural, but on iOS you will have to choose in between bridging your own view model or bridging to the right instance. I don't go into details right now. We will help you communicate about the resources later. Then sharing your module, you just have to use a common module like Koin module, and then you just describe your stuff, and those API must use fully Kotlin KMP API, and you're done. You just describe your module inside your KMP common module space in your common main sources, and then you're done. Then super natural, and then you can move on things, and then you will keep only native side of your project that need some adaptation. On the native side, for example, if we want to bridge on a database like SQLite, you need to have different driver depending on the platform. And you can do that with something called expect. You type expect and you describe functions to declare your module. And then you, on both platform, on all your platform, you will be able to describe the modules you need. For example, here we say in the common module, expect platform module. That means that it can be included in other module in the common space. But on the JVM side, for example, we can describe a singleton for SQL driver, the database, etc. And on the iOS side, then in iOS main, we are declaring the platform module as follow. We use the native SQLite driver, and we use the right database. It's an extract from a People in Space project from John O'Reilly that has some well-known KMP application. And this is the usual case. You need to set up different modules on both native side. All the Koin Compose API is already multi-platform ready. and is taking really the power from all the Google Android team work. Here you see Jan Lake tweet about Lifecycle 280 that is bringing all the lifecycle in the ViewModel API as a multi-platform ready on the Android side, and then the JetBrains team ported all the iOS side for the rest of the multi-platform target. Then Koin really embrace all of that and is giving you the features for all Koin compose at the same time. In Koin 4.0, ViewModel, and then you can have ViewModel in a compose multi-platform application. And it's looking like that. Like finally, it's KMP. I believe, it's one. I don't know if it's just not. You can find a KMP app template from JetBrains. It's a app template from Martin Brown, DevRel at JetBrains, is using Koin also, and in his template is using Koin ViewModel, and this is Compose multi-platform project. And then here you see that we develop everything in the common main space. Then we are using Compose, we are using Koin directly, and then all our module we can use ViewModel as it would be just in Android, but it's in Compose KMP world. That's really great. All the targets that are currently available, like iOS desktop, WASM, are ready, of course. And I'll let you play with that. To finish our session, and then we will take a few questions for the community. Resources for you on the insertcoin.io website. You find tutorials, then you can find tutorials. Not sure they are up to date right now, but if they are not, in a few days they will be ready. But then you can start play with Koin, and then you can start play with small application that you understand Koin. Now in Android, you can find Now in Android in a migrated version. It's a recent version that is using Kotlin 2 here, and then it's on the GitHub, the Koin GitHub project, insertcoin.io, Now in Android. We will give links also. Then you can find in the commit step-by-step migration how we consolidate all the project, and the app is working step by step in between one ViewModel to everything in Koin. And at the end, at Codzilla, we are working on DevTool, and we are helping people developing for Kotlin, KMP, and Koin. Then, if you are keen, you can use the Codzilla platform to directly trace your structure, your architecture, understanding your performances, understanding how your application is behaving and what components is running. Then you can have like a profiler view on your application and understand how your structure is behaving for your application. Great, but that's it. Thank you for those who have been here. I will take questions from the chat. Let me find my mouse pointer. I will take the first question from Carol. Is Koin more efficient than Dagger Hilt? Hilt has a lot of code generation, so makes the build longer, but Koin has impact on runtime. Then I will make things clear about impact in terms of compilation time. Then Dagger and Dagger Hilt are increasing things a lot. Then, for example, if you compare a project between Koin and Dagger, then you usually save like around 70 to 80% of your compilation time. This is quite huge. In terms of runtime API, Koin is based on the main and same API for that. As, for example, Hilt, to make a view model, usually we use the same API. Then under the hood, this is triggering the same stuff. I would say the main impact is having a bit of time at the start to load your Koin modules, but you have a few stuff to really mitigate around the performance if you are impacted, because you are not surely impacted. But terms runtime performance of Koin are really interesting and are kind of the same as Dagger Hilt. We don't have new benchmark, but we would like to give you benchmark to really reflect that, for example, in the Now in Android point of view, and show that finally ViewModel are reacting in the same way. And injection time, for example, in Koin, when you inject something, it's 0.001 or 0.5 milliseconds. Then it's really low, and everything is super indexed and optimized for you. Then in terms of performance, the only way the only things that you will have to take in mind is, for example, if you have hundreds of modules, then you will have to find optimization on module loading for you to avoid impact, but else it will be okay. And then, do you have any benchmark for the example, app launch time before and after migration? Not yet. We will give more insight once we have something that we can really really use the right tools and try to use and extract results for that. But then, yeah, the first result for us, I just try to benchmark on the first view model. The view model were executed at the same level. Then it should be equivalent. A question from Asham Abbasi: what is the best way to do runtime performance comparison to do a runtime performance comparison before doing a full-time migration? I want to make use of case of the migration. Let me think about your question. Runtime performance comparison before doing a full-time migration. I would say, if you want to do migration benchmark, if you are looking for just pure performance, I don't know. It depends on the way both Dagger and Koin can be used in super performant way. I would say you can try to optimize both. We can give you clues for that, but then if you want to benchmark, I will try. You can use something in Kotlin called measure time. This is in the Kotlin time API, and then you can measure time for this or this Kotlin code. Then you can benchmark on one version to another. Dagger 2. Another question: are there any Dagger 2 features which are not available in Koin? I believe there is a map to set or this kind of binding to a map that is not available from Dagger 2. In Koin, you don't have mapping to a map, but Koin offer you flexibility if you want to take around directly. If you want really to match that kind of feature, I would say you can really use any kind of Kotlin expression inside the Koin DSL. That means if you open single and then you bind things inside some structure, then you can do the same. There is also properties where you can really map things inside that could mitigate a bit that, but there is no direct corresponding features for this multi-map or multi-set feature, I believe. But should be that. This is the main. I believe this is the main feature that I've seen people try to map and is not yet available in Koin. Yes. Hope it answer your question. Let's see if there is other question. Thanks for you for being here. Hope this has been great. Ken Casper, are there any limitations about something such as Hilt can do but Koin cannot? What are targeting next feature for next version? Then, first part of the question, things that can do Hilt but not Koin. Hilt is doing, for example, it depends what kind of feature you want to try, but mainly the main feature on both sides are equivalent, and also I would say Koin DSL and API have always been thinking to be super easy to learn, super easy to write, and then under the hood we are optimizing everything for you. Don't know things that doesn't exist in Hilt. You can find scopes in the same way. Scopes are more automatic, but more complex also in Hilt. In Koin, I would say you can simplify your life cycle, because then you are not forced to use scopes. Then, for example, if you have a presenter, an activity, and you want directly to use this presenter inside your activity, you just use a factory instance, and it will bind your lifecycle directly. Then you don't have to think about dedicated scope or not. Then you can really simplify lots of things. One of the complaints about Dagger usage was about lots of scopes, lots of complexity, and really cascading things like that are super complex. In terms of features, Koin is more compatible with Compose, for example, than Dagger can, because Koin has been really is usable for ViewModel, but also any kind of object. And for example, in a composable function, if you don't are necessarily tied to use a ViewModel, you can inject a presenter, and this presenter will be tied directly to your composable lifecycle. And then if your composable is dropped, then your instance is dropped, and then you will drop, for instance. Next version of Koin 4, we are stabilizing a few features like the startup Android X, the automatic Android X startup. One feature that you don't have in Dagger is, for example, you can use worker directly annotated, defined in Koin, and then Koin will start them for you. You don't have to use a complex startup procedure, and then Koin can run directly your worker if you are using Android X worker in a way in your application. I would say for the next features, mainly we are stabilizing like Compose navigation. Compose ViewModel is quite stable, but then we are gathering all the multi-platform API. We try to bridge as much as possible the feature for multi-platform world. For Koin for Android, we are continuing to tackle all the latest feature from Google Android team. You can follow all the newsletter from Codzilla or on the Medium blog from Koin. Then you can follow the latest release note if you want to keep in touch. Yes, and of course, Koin annotation will be soon stable in 1.4, and we are launching quickly the 2.0 to be able to reach Kotlin 2, because then KSP is a bit problematic, but we are not impacted as the Dagger team that is super impacted by Dagger KSP. And yes, I see that there is a question about what if Google releases Hilt KMP, but then up to you to use Dagger Hilt KMP, no problem. You will see how it goes then. If you have any other question, I can answer last. This was our first streaming session, and I hope it was not too messy, and the experience was quite good. We will try to launch other kind of sessions, and we are super happy to have your feedback about how it has been and what kind of other topic you would like to see from us, like around Compose multi-platform or KMP stuff, or some latest Android features that we catch up with Koin. And I see that in the chat there's the links. Then up to you to use those links, and please give us your feedback about that. Koin, it's a fun question about the community about how Koin is meant to be pronounced. I heard regularly there is Koin or Koin, like Kotlin or Koin. Then slide Koin, insert Koin. You know the website, like insert Koin, like the regular Koin that it's the sentence you have on the arcade game. It was around this main name. It was about that Kotlin injection. Then Kotlin injection we cut about co and in. Okay, thank you very much. We will gather your feedback. Thank you for being here, for those who have been there, and hope if you have any question, then you know who you can contact for that. and hope you will begin to migrate for Koin then. Thank you and see you soon online. Salut.